Port of Long Beach, which was founded in 1911, is one of the busiest seaports in the world. The port is a primary gateway for international trade and is responsible for over 1 million jobs around the nation. It is the second busiest port in the U.S. and the 18th busiest port in the world. With 10 piers and 80 berths, the port handles around more than 6 million containers. About $14.5 billion are earned every year. The port is also committed to its Green Port policy, which was made with the goal to improve the surrounding environment. It was adopted in January 2005 and is guided by 5 principles: to protect the community from harmful environmental impacts of port operations, distinguish the port as a leader in environmental stewardship and compliance, promote sustainability, employ the best available technology to avoid or reduce environmental impacts, and to engage and educate the community. The San Pedro Bay Port's Clean Air Action Plan is a plan to radically reduce emissions and their associated health risks for the Southern California region, while allowing the port development to continue.
What we identified in the Clean Air Action Plan, like cold ironing, clean trucks, clean fuels for ships, all of those are now state regulations. We've been partnering with the state so that what we do here gets translated to a broader audience. So the measures, it happened here first, but it's now being translated throughout the state. And so what we've done here is impacting throughout the state. And because of demands in other areas, you're now starting to see clean trucks programs in Seattle, in Oakland, in New York, New Jersey. And you'll continue to see it spread.
The Port of Long Beach claims to be the Green Port with its 20-year record of environmental protection programs as evidence. Despite all of the port's efforts to reduce its emissions, the port still releases a fair amount of pollution, such as carbon dioxide, ground-level ozone, particulate matter, nitrogen oxides, and carbon monoxide. The port displayed a graph on their website representing emissions in the Long Beach region. 10% of the gas emissions are due to the port's activities. 60% of this 10% originates from ocean-going vessels. 9% comes from the trucks affiliated with the port. 8% comes from harbor craft. 16.4% is from cargo handling equipment, and 6% comes from the locomotives working with the port. According to the port's website, $100 billion worth of cargo moves through the port every year. How the cargo moves throughout the port varies from ships to cars to trucks and other heavy machinery. The transportation methods emit gases like carbon dioxide, and according to the European Industrial Gases Association, after 10% of a region's air composition is carbon dioxide, one can become intoxicated and can suffocate due to the lack of oxygen. The higher levels of carbon dioxide can agitate and intensify the complications of asthma. Another problem that the Port of Long Beach may be contributing to is the amount of ground-level ozone emitted into the air. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, or EPA, states that the inhalation of the ground-level ozone can cause the lung to fail and the swelling of the pleura, or the lining of the lungs. If a person is exposed to ozone for an extended period of time, he or she may obtain scarred lung tissue. Also due to this exposure, plants' photosynthesis process can be interrupted, which may cause them to be vulnerable to diseases, insects, harsh weather, and other dangerous factors. Forest and crop growth are also affected, which may lead to changes within the species diversity in the ecosystems. Ozone is created with different oxides of nitrogen and the volatile organic compounds, or VOC, in the presence of sunlight. The nitrogen oxides and VOC are emissions that originate from different chemical reactions in motors that utilize the combustion of different substances, such as trucks' usage of diesel. Particulate matter, or diesel particulate matter in terms of the port, comes from chemical reactions such as forest fires, vehicle emissions, and construction. What makes particulate matter a pollutant is that people can inhale these particles, which can accumulate in his or her lungs and possibly find its way into a person's bloodstream. This also causes the acidity of bodies of water to rise, the nutrients in soils to decrease, and the diversity in ecosystems to die down. Particulate matter does not diminish, but rather stays in the atmosphere for a lengthy amount of time. This is because the sizes of these particles allow them to stay in the air. There are 2 types, or sizes, of particulate matter: PM10, which are particles that are less than 10 micrometers, and PM 2.5, which is less than 2.5 micrometers. PM 2.5 is more dangerous than PM 10 because it is more likely to be inhaled and cause lungs to inflame. Carbon monoxide, on the other hand, disrupts the process of delivering oxygen to the body's organs. It also contributes to the smog in the atmosphere.
One of the big things that people are concerned about with regard to air quality is the health impacts. Diesel, most of the equipment operating the port is diesel equipment, and diesel equipment is associated with things like increased cancer risk, increased cardiovascular, cardiopulmonary disease, and there's a lot of interest in reducing that risk. More than interest, there's demand and need to reduce that risk. And the easiest way to do that is reduce particulate matter from these. And so one of our other goals is we've set a goal to reduce the cancer risk associated with port operations by 85% by 2020.
The port's Middle Harbor Redevelopment Project is a project to build new wharfs, renovate 2 old shipping docks, and retrofit many other pieces of outdated and/or inefficient machinery while following its Green Port policy and the San Pedro Bay Port's Clean Air Action Plan.
In compliance with the Green Port policy and the San Pedro Bay Port Clean Air Action Plan, the Port of Long Beach expects the Middle Harbor Redevelopment Program to reduce local air pollution by at least 50% in the coming years. One way the port expects to accomplish this is through the implementation of shoreside power. Also known as cold ironing, shoreside power is the process of plugging in ships at berth into onshore electricity, thus eliminating the need for them to run on their auxiliary engines. This eliminated need prevents the engines from releasing harmful pollutants such as mononitric acids as a result of fuel combustion. Other ways the port hopes to reduce emissions is through the use of low sulfur fuel, expanded on-deck railing, lower emission locomotives, cleaner tugboats, and newly installed solar panels. Sea Rays is an invention that Columbia Power Technologies created that utilizes magnets and the ocean waves. It originally intended to be a device that would appear like a buoy. The buoy would experience a rising and falling motion, which would move magnets in the buoy up and down freely around a coil, creating an electrical current. Building on Sea Ray wave technology, boats can have this device incorporated into a boat's design. The boat's starting energy would be a battery instead of an engine that requires gasoline. As the boat travels, the rising and falling movement of the boat would thus activate the Sea Ray technology.
You have some sort of like windmill type thing revolving. So as the ship's moving and hitting waves, right, the spinning things on the side, they're picking up energy by going through the waves and just going in general. So spinning things everywhere. And try to explain. It's just like one of those old water wheels that has a big spinny thing and it catches water as you go, so it's just spinning, right? And then as it's spinning, it collects energy. Not only that, but while it's going really, really fast, you have a windmill on the top, like where sails would be, so it's catching wind as it goes too. Not only that, but I assume ships have some sort of heater system where there's some type of heat. Now you put heat conductors there, or something that grabs the heat, and you save that energy too. Not only that, but on top of all of the top containers, there will be a solar panel.
Retrofitting old engines of machines and vehicles help to decrease pollution rates at the Port of Long Beach. The EPA's National Clean Diesel Campaign and California Resources Board monitors emissions from retrofitted technologies. They also assess retrofitted machines and how they affect the environment. When previously built machines are retrofitted, filters are usually installed to cut down on harmful emissions that are outputted from the system. These filters cut down on harmful diesel emissions along with sulfur and nitrogen oxide emissions. Using inexhaustible and renewable energy is extremely advantageous as compared to non-renewable energy. The use of these energy sources will reduce pollution and boost the need for jobs, which in turn will boost the economy. The major downside of using inexhaustible and renewable energy sources is the cost it would take to make such a radical change. Currently, most people are reliant on non-renewable energy sources like diesel fuel. Converting all these energy sources to sources that are more friendly to the environment would require much effort from everyone involved.
The negative impacts of non-renewable energy are what retrofitting is trying to correct. Not only will retrofitting old technology reduce pollution and contamination, it will also conserve certain types of energy that are limited, such as gasoline. Reducing harmful emissions will reduce health risks in the area. In fact, near the Port of Long Beach, instances of cancer increased from 50 in a million to 500 in a million. A study conducted by the California Air Resources Board has linked this increase to health risks to the increase in harmful emissions in and around the port.
I would say that our environmental initiatives like our Green Port Policy and Cleaner Action Plan have impacted the bottom line of the port. I wouldn't say that it would be a negative impact given that the direction that our commissioners and our port has gone in the last few years has been really to reduce the impacts of port operations. To implement those programs has been hundreds of millions of dollars. But I think they're hundreds of millions of dollars well spent because we've been able to see tremendous reductions. So from programs like our Green Flag Vessel Speed Reduction Program to our Clean Trucks Program to our being able to replace cargo handling equipment, and I think Thomas might have mentioned the first ever hybrid tugboat. I think we've seen far more achievements made through our programs, I think, than negative impacts from the funds spent.
If I was a raindrop, would you be my thunderstorm? I feel like I'm falling.
It will also conserve certain types of energy that are limited, such as gasoline. Reducing harmful emissions will reduce health risks in the area. In fact, near the Port of Long Beach, risks of cancer, I think that's instances of cancer, or cases of cancer. Who wrote this? Who wrote this?
I did.
You ain't got your grammars correct. Check them.
So darling, don't let me go. The thought is appalling, but should I slip away into the stormy sea? Will you remember me? I'll smile as I'm gazing down, 'cause I've always wondered why we won't need feathers to fly.
Alright, guys, that's it.